Welcome back, Red Spotters, to the show here on Red Spotlight Entertainment. I'm your host, Alexis J. Soto. Ever so happy. Can't you hear it in my voice? I hate Peter Martinez, which is here right now. By the way, how are you, Peter? Are you doing okay? I hate you so much.
He's mad because before we got on air, we were talking about how he was interested in himbos. And we had
What is that? What?
Himbos. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a him, bimbo, boy bimbo, himbo.
I was thinking hillbilly bimbo or something like that. But
I assume you speak from experience, Peter. And I'm also here with Alexis Moreno and with David Francisco. How are you two doing?
Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where do you guys stand on the himbo discussion? Neutral, I guess?
I assume tensions are running high. We're in month 4, I think, of the lockdown, and some of us are getting quite punchy. That being the case, though, we are here with another edition of our Avatar, The Last Airbender recap. Last time, the Morenos and I recapped the first 10 episodes of Book 2, Earth.
Oh.
And today, along with Peter Martinez, who, by the way, I mentioned I hate, we'll be discussing episodes 11 through 20 of Season 2. However, with those panelists who couldn't make it last, will have the opportunity to give whatever thoughts they have on those episodes that they weren't given a chance to talk about. So I know the Morenos have a very well detailed notebook of all of the episodes, I would assume anyway. So I would ask that when I ask Peter what he thinks of the first 10 episodes, you might want to have the episode titles and descriptions in handy in case Peter can't be bothered to remember what the episodes actually were. Which, I mean, is understandable. So this is episode number 242. All right. Peter?
Me?
What do you think of the first part of season 2 of Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Tell us what happened
From what you can recall.
previously on Avatar.
Is that the voice
We
they
had
do?
to.
Yeah.
Oh. I skipped the beginnings. I never hear her say.
For those, of course, we're a podcast, right? We're an audio podcast only, and people can't see our expressions. I think Alexis right now, her jaw just hit the floor, and she's so offended. You would skip the intros.
It's the same
Peter.
every time. Earth, water, fire, air. My grandma used to tell me when we lived in peace, but that all changed when the Fire Nation attacked. But then the Avatar disappeared, he vanished, and now he's back, and I think he can save the world. There, I did it. There you go, that's the intro. I don't give a fuck. I already saw that in the first episode. I got it. Its info's in my head, I'm good. So yeah, it's her first half of the second season. Stuff happened. A lot of stuff.
You wanted to say something about the first episode being a response to the Avatar state, right?
Oh. I guess I had sent you that message, huh, when I saw the episode. I thought it was so... Because to me...
It's because, Peter, you're our resident fan base watcher, so... For whatever reason, you like to keep up on the fan bases and what they complain about, so...
No, this has nothing to do with the fan base. This was just conjecture on my part.
Okay.
Because I didn't see it when it came out. But at the time... Because first season, whenever they're in a tough spot, you know, Avatar Aang just, you know, the music ho, 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 gets all wide-eyed and, you know... he does his thing in the Avatar state, and then everything's magically fixed. And I said that literally the first episode of the second season, its entire existence is just why we can't just do the Avatar state and then everything is fixed. Like trying to answer that quote unquote plot hole. Like I could just imagine if it was today, like that shit that would be thrown at it. It's sort of like, well, in Lord of the Rings, why didn't they just fly to Mount Doom on the eagles? Like,
It would have made those movies a lot shorter, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But like if that was a television series and then the very first episode of the second season is like, the reason why we can't fly with the eagles is because XXYZXX. You know, and that's basically what they do with the Avatar state, which I thought was funny. Which is like, the reason why you can't do it is because if you die, then you end the line of the avatars. Da 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 da. Which, I mean, yeah, okay. It was just funny to me.
Do you not agree with it?
What do you mean not agree?
No,
How would I not agree? It's fact. That is what that's what they decided would happen.
I guess the question she was trying to ask you, and keep in mind, Peter, you know, you're not that great with words, and sometimes we don't say the right words as well. I think she was trying to ask you,
Like himbo.
Oh my god.
Yeah, something you made up entirely.
It's not
right
made
now,
up.
'cause
I sent you a song and everything. You were just telling me before we got on air how badly you wanted a himbo, but go ahead. Keep going.
I mean, did you write the song? Because I'd never heard of that song before in my life. The point is this: she is trying to tell you. So, did you find that to be a point of contention in the actual terms of the show? Do you think that it was like forced? Like they had to devote a whole episode talking about the Avatar state? Did you need that? It's more along. I think Alexis is trying to ask you.
Yeah. Like, did it bother you that they did that?
Not really. I just thought it was funny. It just felt very obvious to me. Like that was a response to the question, like, well, can't he just go to him right now? Go to the Fire Nation, hit the Avatar State button, and they just wreck shit, and then win the war, and then it's over. Why is he going through this whole thing of like mastering each element? But no, it's a good episode. I don't have really any issues with it personally.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the thing that I found interesting in that is that because he's been away for so long and people lost hope in like having an avatar, that they don't really know what to do with him, and that's their first instinct is to, you know, oh, let's get him into the avatar state and use him as a weapon.
Well,
type of thing.
If you've been in a war for 100 years and here's this thing on your doorstep that theoretically could win the war, like, yeah, you're gonna throw it out there and attempt to make something happen. I get it. What were the other episodes of season 2? First time?
If you can, if you have the titles in front of you guys, can you list them off real quick?
So there's the Cave of Two Lovers, which is the one where they get stuck inside the cave and then they find out. Yeah.
Well, that was good. Okay, next one.
Return to Omashu. That's the one where they go and try to save Boomy.
Oh. Yeah, it's pretty good. Okay.
Yeah. And then we also get introduced to Azula in these episodes.
Yeah. She's and then her posse and all that. Yeah.
The swamp. That's the one where they get to the swamp.
Yeah, they're in a swamp. Yeah, this is funny. I like the vine bending.
This one. Avatar Day.
Oh yeah, we had a field day with that episode last time.
How come people don't consider this one to be filler?
I don't know. I think that because it's so ridiculous that people are like, oh yeah. I don't know.
I think it's more filler than
the other one.
Than the other one, because at least in that one, it's Aang trying to be a leader. But with this one, it's just like...
Well, this one you get a bit of history of, who is it, Avatar Kyoshi, and you kind of get a sense of how different Aang is from, like, other avatars now. So so far you've only seen Roku, and this one you get a first glimpse of another avatar.
But she's not important to, like, the story.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I don't know. This episode is like, I'm not like I still like it, but it's like the people in the town are very annoying and irritating.
I mean, it's not bad, but like, I think this would be considered infinitely more filler than the two tribes or whatever from season 1. So that's funny that people have an issue with that episode, but not this one. I guess because they like Kyoshi. I don't know.
I think so. Yeah. People love Kyoshi. I mean, me. But like...
Yeah. Fangirls out here.
So, episode 6 was The Blind Bandit with Toph.
Is that when that's when they first meet Toph, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that it's their, the WWE shit was funny.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Oh, did you know that they were supposed to get The Rock to do that?
Were they really?
Episode?
Yeah. He was supposed to play the boulder.
That's just the ultimate punny jokes. They should have done it. That's funny.
And then episode 7 is Zuko Alone.
Oh shit, that's like top 3 episodes.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, because I'm predictable or what?
Yeah.
I mean, it is. What did you guys think of
really
it?
good.
Oh, it's trash?
No, it's really good. It's just funny.
It's a fantastic episode. I think it's really good. Top 3.
Episode 8 is The Chase, which is the one where they're being chased by Azula.
Oh yeah, and they kept trying to fall asleep.
Yeah. And then at the end, they all like come together and fight.
Yeah.
Like 1 against like 5 million with Azula, and she ends up shooting Iroh.
Mm-hmm. And then is that when he teaches him how to lightning?
Next episode.
That's the next
episode.
one. That's one is Bitter Work, and that's where Aang learns how to earthbend, and Zuko is trying to learn how to
deflect lightning.
Yeah.
You notice throughout the whole series, they're very keen on constantly paralleling their journeys. When you learn about Aang's backstory,
there's a number of episodes with Aang and
you learn
Zuko in
about
particular,
Zuko's
right?
backstory. Yeah, when he's whenever there's an episode where Aang trains, Zuko's training. Yeah, they're constantly paralleling them.
And there's more coming up in season 3.
Oh yeah.
So
spoilers.
And then episode 10 is The Library.
Oh, that's just pretty cool.
Yeah,
like from a lore perspective.
Yeah.
That's pretty
cool. And then
cool.
that's the one where Appa gets taken away as well.
Oh yeah. And that lasted for a pretty long time.
Yeah.
Kind of the rest of the season, if you think about it. Well, we're going to cover it right now.
That was like a big deal.
It's not till the second to the last episode that they finally all together now. So
yeah.
The first half's pretty good. There's a couple filler-esque episodes. But overall, like some of the best shit in the series. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know you mentioned like, Avatar Day being like more filler than The Great Divide, but like there's not really a single episode of the show that I don't enjoy.
Yeah.
You know, like they're all to me like
filler
just...
doesn't mean sucks. It just means
right. It's just that it has a very negative connotation with a lot of people who say filler. Not from you, but just to be clear about that. Particularly the second half of the first batch, I think is very, very strong. When ramping up with Zuko Alone, The Chase. What was the? I think to me the best one was
Bitter Work.
Yes, Bitter Work. I love that episode. And then
which one's
the
that
library,
one?
So
where they train
the Aang Zuko training.
Oh, okay,
one.
It's pretty good.
So yeah, overall, we get introduced to Toph and Azula. Toph is great. Azula can go die. That's kind of where I am.
That's so funny because you would be Azula if we were to attach characters.
I would kill that bitch. No, I mean I said last episode when you were
Azula, which is crazy.
You are Azula.
No, I mean,
what do you?
She's a great character. No, don't get me wrong, but it's like as a personality, I can't stand her.
That's your personality.
But she's a
nobody kills. Nobody injures Iroh like that and gets away with it. That broke my heart. That was the moment I was like, somebody needs to kill her. When that shit happened. And then in the next episode, Iroh was like, Azula is crazy and she needs to go down. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
No,
so,
yeah, I mean, I agree, but I still, like, I think she's
No, I mean,
so cool.
she's lovable and that she's evil and that she's great for the show. Don't get me wrong. It's just as a personality, there's no one I want to cut more. All right. Let's go to the next 10 episodes.
Wait, let me
yes.
just talk, what little bitty things. This is something that like every children's adventure film does. And as a kid, you don't notice it, but I guess as an adult, I notice it, and it's not a negative, but it's just something I find funny now. How like children that have maybe been doing what they've been doing for like a couple months are like taking down world-class masters that have, been practicing their bending for a lifetime. I don't know. I just think that's funny. Like the fact that Toph is like a fucking, what is she, 11? Like
Probably.
being the greatest earthbender that ever lived. And the same like to fuck, I'm fucking up her name. I don't want to say it. The one that can waterbend. Katara. In the span of a few months goes from like no idea to the greatest waterbender that ever lived.
Well, there's like I get like the Katara one, but I feel like Toph has more of an advantage, and you can kind of understand why she's so good.
She's also still 11 though. Not to say that it can't happen, just the fact that,
it's happening.
Yeah. It's inherently silly, but I think, I like it. It's okay. I just wanted to point that out. Season 2, everything dies.
Oh my god. Okay, so episode 11, we're gonna start with the second half, is the desert, which is after Appa gets taken away and they're kind of stuck in the middle of the desert and they don't really know what to do, and Aang is like having a complete mental breakdown, justifiably.
He's having a bitch fit just because he lost his puppy.
It's so funny because people hate, not that they hate these episodes, but they hate like that Aang lost Appa. Like they hate that happened, and people get so upset over it, which is upsetting.
We need to stick a pin in that. Wait, fans are upset that a show dare have some development, that a show dare and kind of grow some character and create some hard circumstances? Or does it go back to, I don't want to see Aang be mad, that makes me feel bad?
I always think that thinking to me is so weird, because like the only reason you like these characters is because you saw them grow and develop. But now you're like, now I like them, so now I don't want anything bad to happen to them. But the only reason you like them is because bad things happened to them and they had to grow, and you ended up liking them. So it's this weird, like, you can't have
I don't think
your cake and eat it too.
that's totally fair. Obviously with the exception of the ending, which obviously nobody liked. But like in Game of Thrones, everybody freaking dies. And it was people's favorite characters. Like the main character in the first season dies.
Yeah.
So...
To a certain extent, yeah. I mean, along the way, I know certain people that were like, if this character dies, I'm done. But that also became...
I feel a lot of people were having that kind of mentality.
But also the fact that anyone could die even if the lead character was kind of the point of Game of Thrones, the gimmick, if you want to be crass. So I think that's very different.
Okay.
Yeah, if people started crying about characters dying in that one, then I really would. Okay, you're really in the wrong place, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's the whole fucking point.
And I mean, think about what, the absence of Appa does. It really shakes up not just the dynamic of the series, but I mean, it forces the group to kind of continue about their journey in a different scenario. I mean,
they can't just fly out of there like nothing.
Right. So it's like, I mean, and it's also most critical to Aang. And if we're going to talk about this episode, I will say they did a good job of making everybody but Aang like not give a shit that Appa was gone. And not that they didn't care. They did care, obviously.
It's just
but
one problem at a time. So that's...
Is that Mateo?
Nope.
Oh.
Oops. It's Appa.
Yep. I liked Sokka in this episode. I thought he was funny.
Oh my god. Sokka and Momo.
I mean, honestly, for me, my favorite was Katara. Like, I honestly think she was like the MVP in this episode.
Taking charge.
Like, taking charge, trying to hold everyone together, and like...
I'm gonna be honest, I get what Aang was going through, but he was being a little bitch. I'm sorry. Like,
no.
You're in the desert, you and your friends could be dead at any moment. Like, I understand.
He's 12.
Yes, he's 12, but he's
never been apart from Appa.
But like...
Well, I mean, he still does what he's doing, though. That's the thing.
This is like... First of all, Appa's like his best friend. Appa's like the only other living thing.
That's a Momo erasure.
Kind of. What?
No, Momo's of this time though. Not from years ago.
Like Appa has been with him since they were like young.
They were frozen in ice for a century. I don't know how closer you
like
can
his
get
only,
than that.
Like connection to like the people, his culture, his people, and to say that he was being, I don't know about that.
I still feel like that's a Momo erasure. Poor Momo. Doesn't get no love.
No, he gets a lot of love.
But
and he's actually very important for the whole entire show, which we'll bring it up towards the end. I mean, of like this whole show.
But I will say, like, when people bring up, like, oh, this is like, these episodes, like, are so sad, like it breaks my heart, like seeing Aang like this, blah blah blah. And like, yeah, obviously it's heartbreaking, but like this compared to like the episode where he goes back to the Western Air Temple and he finds out that his people have been extinct, that I feel should have more of an impact. I don't know, at least for me that has more of an impact, because it's like, bro, like everybody's gone. I don't know. It's funny.
No, but then also, again, like, yeah, he's bitching the whole time, but he's still getting stuff done. Like, he didn't like leave his friends behind. He went out as much as he could to search for Appa, but then came back, and then when they needed water, he
had an attitude
went out
though.
And tried to get. Yeah, which is fine, because again, he lost his best friend.
People need to chill. Damn.
What would you do if Tootsie got stolen?
I would
have an
murder
attitude.
the entire world, starting with you three.
So yeah,
I would not have come back for you guys.
I just think, like, we've seen Aang be calm, cool, collected for a lot of this show, and it just seems to me like one of those situations where, the one time that the nice guy dares to bitch and have an attitude, then it's okay to knife him to death, right? Yeah, which that happens in real life, I want to say. So
but I mean, they do end up running into the people that took Appa, and he almost.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh my, a little crazy there.
Did anyone die?
No.
They
Because
could've.
he went into the Avatar state and Katara came in, grabbing him as always.
Mm.
And
Which is why I think, she's still the MVP on this episode, because as she's trying to keep everyone together, I feel like this moment where she's trying to, like, calm down Aang, I feel like that was her moment of, like, almost giving up herself.
But she was the only one that was keeping it together.
Yeah.
Everybody was like literally falling apart. I mean, Toph
Sokka
can't
was
see in
high.
sand.
Sokka
Sokka was high the whole time. And then Aang was, upset. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's a sad episode. So episode 12 is the Serpent's Pass, which I think this one makes me a little bit more emotional than the other one.
This
Towards
one's
the
better.
end. Yeah, I think. And it's cool because we get to see Aang a little bit more calm, but he's also like running away from his feelings and like not kind of dealing with it. He's just ignoring it, which is, how he is. So yeah, and Katara is over here being like, bro, no, let it out. It's cool. Like, we know you're upset.
His whole thing that episode was just trying to close himself off emotionally, but then at the end he experienced something he found emotionally beautiful, and he realized like it's not a good thing to close yourself off emotionally. Which, if the episode came out today, they'd say he was a soy boy and beta cuck. How dare he feel emotions? He's supposed to be a man. But yeah, luckily this came out in what, 2004, so it's all good.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then we see Suki again, and that family, which I don't know if you guys like realized it, but in Zuko alone, Zuko ran into them.
He was almost about to like rob them, but he's like, "Oh, she's pregnant. Okay, never mind. I'll leave." And then that's the people that Aang meets up with in this episode. Yeah.
Yep. So that's a cool little thing that happened. But yeah, we get to see Suki being a badass again. And then we get to see, we kind of saw Toph kind of being a little bit freaked out, like in the desert, because she couldn't see. But then we get to see her in water, and it's like, oh god. Like, that's really scary.
She also had like the funniest line for me, honestly, when she was drowning and gets saved and thought Sokka saved her, but it was Suki. When she realized it was Suki, she's like, "Okay, you can let me drown now." It was just, I don't know, it was hilarious.
And then after that one, I like this one. We get the drill, episode 13.
That one's a good one.
Which, yeah, I like this one a lot. We get to see they're about to go into Ba Sing Se, but Aang sees that Azula has like this giant drill trying to break into Ba Sing Se, or the city of Ba Sing Se, and they have to like he went ahead of everybody to try to look for Appa in the city, but then he came back and was like, "Oh yeah, we gotta deal with this." But yeah, I think we see a lot of things here. We get to see like the military leader, I guess, in Ba Sing Se, and him just being like very like, "No, we got this. It's cool. We don't need you."
Well, the walls of Ba Sing Se have never fell.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the first, I think, kind of clue as to how it is in the city. Like, them just being very, like, no, chill. Like, everything's fine. Everything's good. So that's...
I actually didn't think of that.
Yeah. But, like, obviously they're like, "Dude, no. You don't know what you're doing here. Let us help," type of thing. And then they finally do go help, and again we get to see Sokka and his like kind of kid kind of mentality into like battles.
What
but,
kid
like,
mentality?
Also effective.
Well, they gotta give Sokka something. He can't bend, so
Yeah.
he needs to contribute in some way.
Well, they acknowledge it in this episode that he's the idea guy. So
Well, yeah, because the idea guy doesn't have to fight. But yeah, no, but like the whole way that they took down the drill, I thought was really cool. The way they like they weakened the what's it like
Drill.
the things,
The bars,
and then he's all like pew 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 fighting with Azula.
And then we also get to see Aang, like, not like fully earthbend, but earthbend more.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
He's now earthbending and waterbending a lot more.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. And then one of my favorite parts, which is, I don't know, because I like her a lot, when Ty Lee and May have to go and chase Sokka and Katara, and they have to go into like the sewer looking thing, and May is like, no, I'm chill, I'm not going in there. Azula can shoot me as much as she wants, but I'm not going in there. And it's also like another little hint as to what happens to her later on. I think just her kind of like doing,
she does what she wants.
The fuck she wants. Yeah,
you can tell
like,
she does everything she does because she's bored. Like, I don't know if she actually gives a shit.
Yeah, I don't know.
Until it involves you know who, but yeah.
Oh yeah. She's one of my favorites. I think her, Suki, Toph, and Azula are my favorites.
it's like
the sassy group.
But yeah, I don't know. This episode's really cool. And then at the, is it this one? No, it's in another one. Sorry. I mean, in the end, they kind of they beat them, and then they finally go into Ba Sing Se, and they're just like, holy shit.
Ba Sing Se looks like amazing.
Oh yeah.
Especially for an animated
episode,
show, like holy shit.
Yeah. Oh, and then we also have Zuko in this one.
He's doing shit.
He meets up with Jet. Jet comes back and like the gang and stuff, and they're trying to also be refugees into at Ba Sing Se, which is like another big issue still going on. But then we also get to see that Jet realizes that they're firebenders.
Because Iroh heats up his tea.
That creates a problem. But yeah. And then, what is it? The City of Walls and Secrets, which is when they actually go into Ba Sing Se. That's episode 14. And in this one, we see kind of like the inner workings of the city and how everything we see a lot of themes. It's Parasite.
There is no war in Ba Sing Se.
Yeah, that too. I mean, I don't know, I feel like a lot of stuff happens in this episode. They go in and they see the different, classes divided within the city. And I mean, off the bat, you realize like there's something wrong here. Like, it's kind of weird that they're doing this.
Well, Judy's presence in and of itself is just like turning the creep factor up to 11.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I mean, she's being weird, and then they start looking for Appa within the city. Oh, and then they're also in Ba Sing Se because they're trying to give the Earth King the information that they found out in the library, which is that firebenders lose their ability to firebend in the comet, or the solar eclipse, sorry.
The comic gives them power.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they're kind of, they put up a lot of different like blockings for them to get to him. They end up telling him that they could see the Earth King within 3 months, which is a long time. Which this is like what confuses me as to where what the timeline is, because I don't like that's a long time.
No,
3
they
months.
said 1 month.
Is it 1 month?
Yeah, it was 1 month, or
okay,
was
okay.
it 5 to 7 weeks or something like that?
I mean, it's still a long time.
Yeah.
And then we get to see the Dai Li, which they're creepy also. And then, yeah, the fact that there's no war in Ba Sing Se, that's another whole thing. Brainwashing.
So this is the
and all that
episode
stuff.
where we're introduced to Long Feng and the Dai Li, and it ends with Long Feng basically revealing that information to Team Avatar, and then also, so this is also the same time that Jet gets captured by the Dai Li?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because then we have the juxtaposition of like Long Feng explaining all of this, and then we have the Dai Li who are hypnotizing Jet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
I think Avatar better than maybe any other kids animated type show or property is good at showing the complexities of war and a lot of the ramifications of it. Because at first you think like, okay, Fire Nation bad, other nations good, but it just feels like it never wholly comes down to that. And this is a good example of that, where, you know, Earth Kingdom's supposed to be on your side, supposed to be good, but, you know, doesn't mean that there isn't corruption, there isn't unethical things going down. And then also the fears of wartime and what that pushes certain people to do. I think it's really good and more than you would expect from a kids show on Nickelodeon.
Well, you see that in the beginning of the season. So, like, the guy that's trying to get
he's
Aang
trying
to
to
the Avatar state,
push him.
He was literally willing to kill Katara to get him to the Avatar state. And then you also just see some other people in the Earth Kingdom kind of being... Oh, well, in Zuko alone, you see those, like, corrupt...
police officers. Corrupt
yes.
cops.
Yeah.
Who are gleefully beating up the townspeople for their own amusement. Where have I seen that before?
I like I said, I think this episode is really good. It shows a lot of things. It introduces a lot of things and a lot of future problems, I think.
It's so unexpected, too. Like, the turn that this takes just pulls the rug from under you. Under you. It's like, what?
Yeah, and it's also actually, like, it was really cool editing in that moment where Long Feng is talking about, it's like, oh, the king is just a...
Figurehead.
What is it?
A figurehead,
He's just
yeah.
a figurehead, and like while he's saying that, you see Jet being taken. It just keeps cutting back and forth to him and Jet, and as it's being hypnotized, and basically they say, and that's when I think that's when you get the line of, "There is no war in Ba Sing Se," and yeah.
But then they top it. They basically do a mic drop when they introduce a different Judy, and then you realize like, yeah, I'm not messing with Long Feng. Okay, hi Judy. Hi, let's get the fuck out of here. I'm creeped out. Like, that's how effective that whole sequence was.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think this is a really good episode. And then it's funny because we have this episode that introduces a lot of information, a lot of things, and then we go to the Tales of Ba Sing Se.
This immediately followed?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, this is definitely filler.
For filler.
But this is people's, like, one of their favorite episodes.
Yeah.
Why?
This is like... You're not being real, right, Peter? A lot of people consider the Tales of Ba Sing Se to be their favorite episode of the whole series.
Okay.
And I mean, I feel like a lot of things happen here too, but they're not like, they're more just character building. It's not like necessary for the plot.
There's no plot really in this episode at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, what's the
It's a collection of short films, basically.
Yeah.
Short stories on everyone. I mean, they were really pushing it to a point like there's a tale of Momo. Like,
yeah.
Aang,
And I think they all got
literally
each
each
story.
character got one. Well, except for
Appa.
Well,
No.
Appa is the next one. Appa gets a whole episode.
he gets his own
Yeah.
episode, but they combined Toph and Katara.
Yeah, they combine
Mhm.
Toph and Katara, which, I mean, you kind of, like I said, it's really just pure character building in
Mhm.
their story. They go,
They have a spa day.
they have a spa day, and then you kind of have people making fun of Toph and her being like, you know, like, it's, obviously it hurts her, but she's like, it's fine, like, she literally says the perks of not being able to see is that I don't really care about looks, but obviously, you know, she's still hurt by it, like,
Mhm.
we're still hurt.
And I think that part was kind of like the only. It's like the first time we really see them getting along, because before it was just like a bunch of
Yeah, they'd fight the
stressful
whole
moments
time.
between them. Mhm.
Yeah, and you see Toph being vulnerable for the first time also, I think.
We have a lot of vulnerable moments in all of these, for most of these. I think the ones that perhaps are, I think, the weakest would... Sokka and Aang, I think, would be the weakest ones.
I think the only good thing about Aang's story was that he was being a kid again. So like,
We got to see some animals.
Mhm.
He was being a
there's that.
kid, but he was also being kind of the Avatar, like resolving problems, and you know, but you also get to see like, what's it called? Like, because the way that their people, like his people are, is they're very in tune with like nature and animals and stuff, and you get to see that also with what he
Mhm.
does. So I found that interesting.
But for sure, I mean, like, we get really intimate moments. It's kind of like a great pause button from all of the, you know, the story arc that is happening in the season. We get to just, like, reflect a little bit on the journey that we've had so far and to get a state of mind with these teenagers, basically, that have kind of the weight of the world on their shoulders.
Mhm.
We saw that with Toph and Katara, and of course with Zuko, with, you know, just him being on a date is just so alien for him because of the life
Yeah.
that he's led.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's it
Yeah.
called?
Sokka just has a rap battle with someone.
Yeah, that one, I don't know. That one's my least favorite one. And then we get to Momo, and,
You skipped Irohs.
you know,
Oh my god!
because
Yeah.
that's
that's like the last one.
Why?
Like, that one's like the main one.
Yeah,
That was
that's really the reason why people love that episode.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
a little
but Momo,
boring,
he
don't
just-
you think?
Oh my god.
I'm trying really hard to anger people here, okay?
well, it's like, I wonder though, because I mean, everyone would agree that the Tale of Iroh is the emotional high point of the episode.
Mhm.
I understand that the Tale of Momo was the last one in sequence to kind of lead into Appa's Lost Days.
Yeah.
But I think I've mentioned someone say that maybe it would have served it a little bit better if the end of the episode itself was the Tale of Iroh.
No. I disagree. I think
Because I think
the story isn't about Iroh. The story is about the Avatar and the bigger thing, the overall what's going on. So for them, the whole cliffhanger being like Momo basically, what's it called? Basically that the, what's its name? I forget its name. The creature.
Appa?
Momo,
No, the other one.
Appa.
Appa is in Ba Sing Se, right? And then that perfectly leads into the next episode. Yeah, I don't think you need to have Irohs.
I don't think... I mean, I think it's fine that Momo's was the last one because it just makes sense, like, story-wise, like, overall. But either if Iroh's story was told in the beginning, in the middle, or in the end, that one's the one that stands out to everybody. Which, rightfully so, I think. But yeah, I mean, you see him, and you get to finally see him kind of deal with the fact that he lost a son, and you get to see a little bit more character development with him alone, which we haven't seen, which I wish we would have gotten more of, I think. But yeah, and then also fun fact, not really fun fact, but kind of sad fact.
Sad fact.
I believe this was the voice actor. This was his last recording before he passed away. So that's why in the episode you see like the Mako.
In loving memory.
Mako, I think it is. Yeah.
Because he passed away, and then the picture of his son in the episode is actually a picture of him when he was younger. So that makes it more sad.
Yeah.
Leaves from the vine.
Brave soldier boy. And apparently the guy who replaced him, since that was the original voice actor's last recording and he sang that song, the guy that replaced him, he never wants to sing that song.
He refuses to sing.
Fans. Yeah, because it was mainly for the original voice actor, and it just stayed with him, which is like.
And also in his story, I think one of my favorite lines from the show is said, obviously by Iroh, which is when he's talking to the guy who's trying to mug him, and they end up sitting down having a conversation about him trying to be a masseuse. And Iroh's like encouraging him, like he could do it, he just kind of has to work for it and stuff. And the guy's like, wow, nobody's ever believed in me. And Iroh's like, he says, while it's great to believe in oneself, a little help from others goes a long way, which I love.
It's a good episode.
But yeah, it's a
great episode.
I like it.
Yeah. And then episode 16, Animal Cruelty, Appa's Lost Day.
Actually, I really like this episode.
This dumb bison gets his own episode.
Oh my god.
I like this episode because I like what the things that he goes through connects to like everything that happened throughout the other characters. So when he first gets kidnapped, he sort of destroys one of the sand ships.
That's the ship that they find.
Yeah.
Later.
And they even mentioned like, one of the guys mentioned like, aren't you scared your dad's gonna be mad? He lost one of the ships, and he's like, no, this is the one that we stole from some other tribe. I don't know, can't remember the name of it. And then they bring that up in that the desert episode, which is, I don't know. Again, it's a really cool connection. What were the other ones that were connecting?
I mean, he's in the city, so he's always been around them. Mm-hmm. Like at the end of the last episode, we see Momo finding like his footprint on the ground.
He was in a circus.
Yeah. Again, animal cruelty.
I think it's so funny the way they like use fire bending as like a whip to whip him. Oh. But I just think it's funny when they use bending in like everyday circumstances. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Like things that we have, but they use the elements.
Just little things like the fact that earthbenders, they use that as like fighting each other in WWE type shit. When they use earthbending to send mail up and down. Oh yeah, like the delivery system. Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah. The way they incorporate it basically into everyday society. They do it a lot more in Korra, obviously. Yeah. But yeah.
Did you start watching it?
No, I haven't started watching it yet. Once we finish this, then because again, I'm watching the episodes, at a time.
Oh my god.
So once I finish, then I'll try and move on to Korra.
But yeah, we see that, and then he's just kind of, trying to survive basically the entire time. And then at the end, he runs into the Kyoshi warriors, and but at the same time they run into Azula, Mei, and Ty Lee. And obviously Azula recognizes Appa, and she's trying to like capture him. It doesn't work. And Suki is like trying to fight them off so Appa can leave and go to Aang, which was, I think, really sad because I mean they purposely get captured in order for Appa to leave. But she like is being mean to him.
Yeah, to get him to leave.
Yeah.
Because he's afraid of fire now.
I know.
Oh yeah. And
What was the name of
ends
the at the end where he meets that guy from the airbending temple?
Guru Patik?
Yeah.
He is the first non-Asian. Well, Indians are technically Asian, but you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
he was the first brown character.
Well, we were actually watching like information about this because I was trying to find out more about like the different cultures that are within.
What I'm asking is, do
Avatar
white
world.
people exist in the last?
No.
I don't think so.
Well, no, because I was gonna say, oh crap, what's her name in Korra?
Asami?
Yeah, but no.
No, I mean she's like she has like the lightest skin in the whole show, but but she's pretty much.
There's light skinned people. But
Yeah, there's lighter and
Yeah.
darker, but there's lighter and darker Asians too. So,
Yeah.
but it is sort of the thing where it's like, it seems only, but he was it seems to be the one and only Indian character, like with the accent as well. Whereas you don't see that again ever, as far as I know of, from like the entire Avatar world. So he almost feels like he drops out of the sky from like another dimension or something.
Well, I feel like that's kind of the well, not the point, but like they did that on purpose, maybe. Because he's kind of the only one besides I think maybe like Iroh or something that kind of fully understands like the inner workings of the Avatar and that stuff.
Just from a world perspective, I
least,
found that interesting.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I remember when this guy came out and like when we see what he does and stuff. I was watching the show with one of my friends he was watching it for the first time, and he was so like amazed at this character. Like, well, not like the character, but the fact that they show like what he does and how he teaches Aang and like what he teaches Aang, and he's like, I can't believe this isn't a kids show. Like, what?
Yeah,
No,
it's really cool.
really-
the lessons
Yeah.
and
they did a really good job of like setting him up when you first see him. So Appa ends up in the, what is it? I don't know, Samaria temple. And I like right away that when Appa falls asleep, he's trying to like sense his chakras, I guess you can say. And I like what he like can sense inside Appa. So he's like, oh, you've been through a lot. And then he kind of goes to like the stomach and he's like, there's still a lot of love in you, but
oh my god,
but trust is clouded by fear.
Mhm.
And then like he somehow is able to like get him to like sleep and like have a nice dream, because like he is kind of, you can see him kind of struggling Appa, and then he just finally calms down when he's like, here, just have some sweet dreams for now. And then I love it when Appa wakes up and the girl is like, oh, you slept well, I can tell from your bed hair. And like Appa's like hair is sticking out. It was really adorable a moment. And so yeah, I think that whole scene right there was great setup for that character. And the fact that he was able,
he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, the fact that he was able to do something like that only we see Aang do, which was do that whole everything is connected type of scene to like let Appa find Aang. It was great.
Well, they touch on that in the swamp episode.
Yeah.
When they're like, the entire forest is one big tree. You know, technically we are all connected, though it is not easy to see. And, you know, they delve into that.
And he says that too. It's like, yeah, you and Aang are very much connected. I can, from the energy I sense from you, I can find him. And Appa like licks him, and I think he says a line something like, oh my gosh, I wish I could remember it. But it was something like, how incredible these like invisible threads can connect us all. And yeah. And then that's when Appa ends up in Ba Sing Se, and as he flies down below into the city, you see those like panther cats that Momo was hanging out with, seeing him from the rooftop, which is how they find him.
Yeah. And then also, because the Kyoshi warriors get captured, Azula has the idea to
sneak in.
By becoming the Kyoshi warriors. So that's bad.
Trixie.
So yeah. Alexis, do you have anything to say?
I agree with all of you.
Episode 17 is Lake Laogai, which this was an episode, not that I would skip it, but I would just kind of forget what happened.
I was about to ask you what happened here.
It wasn't like the first time that I watched it. I had to like pay
Is this with
attention and
Chet?
sit down and like
Yeah.
And this is the one where we kind of find out what happens.
R.I.P. Chet.
Spoilers. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, not anymore. Chet got knocked the fuck out.
You do this.
Well, yeah. No, this starts off with them putting out flyers. Team Avatar putting out flyers all over Ba Sing Se. Which one of the flyers ends up with Zuko, and he's like, the Avatar is here, we gotta fight it, I can bring my honor back, blah blah blah. And you have this funny joke when they're putting up the flyers. It's like, Toph, you go with Sokka, and she's like, why, you don't think I could do this by myself? Just watch. And she like puts glue on the wall, puts a poster, but it's in reverse.
I was gonna say, this is kind of off topic. We completely failed to mention the awesome side story of Iroh working his way up in the tea business. It's my favorite parts of Ba Sing Se. You have all this like adventure and mystery and you know, fighting going on in one side, and at the other side it's like, we got promoted at the tea shop. Things are looking up. I like it.
Well, at this point, at this point, they're about to open their own, right?
Yeah.
No.
I think the episode after that is when they finally get their own tea shop.
Because that's when Zuko's like calm. And it's the following one.
I think this episode was set up that someone tells Iroh if he wants his own tea shop, but the episode is mostly about Zuko wanting to find Appa, which he does in a pretty cool way actually, where he's finally back in the blue spear costume, and he sees a Dai Li agent and is just like pushes him to the side and like, move, bitch,
get out the way.
Which caused yeah. And the Dai Li's like, hey, what the heck? Which leads into a trap. And he gets information off him, which is how he finds Appa. Which is really cool. Again, Zuko's freaking smart.
He was trained by Iroh.
Yeah.
Well, that's just one of the funniest things about that is, we see Zuko, interrogate a Daily agent and then, like, infiltrate Lake Laogai. And then Iroh just literally walks in the front door.
Yeah.
We don't have to see any of that. He just shows up.
Because it's Iroh. It's the Dragon of the West. Yeah. And so while the gang Team Avatar was looking for Appa, they run into Jet, and Katara's just like, "Oh, this guy right here," and she's like ready to like beat him up because of last time and everything. But he convinces her that he's changed and all that. Well, not her, but the rest of the gang. He convinces them that he's changed and wants to do better. And through their conversation,
in a way, it's true, but not 100% true. Like, he doesn't really know what's going on also.
Yeah. But he tells them that he knows where Appa is. And you get this cool moment where Jet's friends find him, and there's just a whole bunch of confusion between each and everyone's stories. And I like this moment where Katara uses water bending to kind of like move, like, I guess, the energy in his brain to try to get him to remember what happened. And which is how they end up in Lake Laogai. And then you just get this pretty cool action sequences with the Dai Li and Long Feng.
Against them.
Oh, my bad. Yeah. Did we know beforehand that Long Feng could earthbend?
No.
I thought it was just assumed. I mean, if he's a leader of the Dai Li, there has to be a reason. It didn't necessarily surprise me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. I don't think it surprised me either the first time. It's just funny, like, oh wow, they didn't really set that up at all, which it can lead to a surprise for some people, I guess. And then, okay, what else happened?
Well, there was a great scene with Iroh and Mizuko where Iroh finally like talks shit to him, like, "Hey, wake the fuck up already! Like, how long is it gonna take for you to get there? Come on, like, stop with this." Like, when you see Zuko at the first glance of temptation, just try to revert back to something, and then him literally having to yell, "You never think these things through."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You just made me remember. So Moreno said, you basically forget what happens in this episode, and which is funny because I feel like this episode is kind of like the culmination of everything that's been set up here. So, you know, the whole time you see Zuko, he keeps wanting to like stay in his namesake, be known as Prince and all that. And when he gets to Ba Sing Se, he gets some glimpses of like, maybe I can't have a life here, but it's still a struggle for him. And again, so this episode this is what it's leading up to, with him deciding whether he wants to still be Prince or just someone else. And the same thing with the gang. So they've basically been trying to look for Appa this whole time, and they finally get some hint of where he might be, and it leads to this. So I just think it's like a really cool moment, really cool episode for how it's leading up to
everything that happened.
Yeah, for everything that happened.
R.I.P. Chet.
And yeah, yeah. So
he dies,
and then Long Feng kills Jet. At least that's what's implied, because it's still a kid show.
If you want to know my opinion, I think it was Aang. I think he was getting competition out of the way with Katara, and he blames it on you know, what's his name. I think that's what really happened, because he could earthbend at this point.
Mm-hmm.
No one else was there in the room with him. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then I mean, I feel like this is like the first time we see like, or is it the only time we see like anybody dying?
Yeah, this is like the one time anyone dies in the show. Yeah, and for some reason it's Chet. It's a really it's weird.
It's like a whatever character.
It's a random.
He does come out of
character.
nowhere.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Azula doesn't die.
Yeah.
Even Fire Lord Ozai doesn't die. No one dies. None of the group dies.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Fine. But point being, I guess fuck Chet. I mean, that's the message I'm getting.
Yeah.
And again, you don't
but-
see him die, so I
They
mean,
imply it
Yeah.
hardcore.
But it's also like cool that we see, maybe not like entirely like the main people, but we see like Jet's people, you know, having to deal with that and like what they do in that situation, and just how like they push them away because they know what's about to happen, and they kind of you know.
Is there
And you see
a
that
level of fragility to non-benders that benders don't have? Because benders get thrown against the wall and all kinds of shit happens to them. But Chet gets one little
don't die.
rock and, you know, oh.
It was a big rock.
Yeah, but like, Toph's had bigger rocks thrown at her and then she's like, you know, shakes it off.
you could also make the argument in this particular case that in most situations, a lot of, let's say, grunt people are not necessarily trying to kill the Avatar.
I don't know.
Whereas Long Fang is like legitimately in this moment trying to
Trying
kill
to.
Jet.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is maybe
That's true.
Amon had the right idea.
Oh my god.
Oh no.
Who?
He's a villain in Legend of Korra. He wants everyone to be equal.
Amon
so he
is
tries to-
the main villain in the first season, whose whole thing is fuck benders,
Equality.
and he's trying
Yeah.
to eradicate benders. And he takes people's bending away. He has that power.
Yeah, because it's not as if Benders saved the world once before,
Yeah, but if you get
or like several times before.
but they were also
I mean,
the cause of the war as well. If we
Yeah.
if we get rid of all of them, we won't need heroes, but we also won't need villains.
Yeah. It's like the Incredibles. When everyone's super, then no one.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. Here we go. This is the real discussion here.
So that in the end of this episode, Zuko does let go of Appa, and the whole gang is back together. Now you get this little cute moment where everyone's hugging Appa, and Aang's like, "I'm never letting you go."
Sad.
Yeah.
And then
But yeah.
this is part I loved. It was so funny. Zuko literally
Breaks down.
his body shuts down because he did something right, and it doesn't compute. So he's like malfunctioning. He's like the fucking Grinch. His heart grew 3 sizes that day.
Yeah, he's a little dramatic.
He's the definition of dramatic.
is that stuff ever explained in and since I know that the Morenos have much more experience with the overall lore of not just Airbender but also with Korra, is that a thing or an idea that ever is like mentioned or brought up ever again, like this whole like metamorphosis, like
Well, it's not because he did something good for once. It's because he's finally questioning who he is. Does he want to be Prince Zuko? Does he want his like actual honor back from his dad, or does he want a new life here with his uncle?
of course
that's
not.
the struggle.
It's kind of explained later on, in the series. It's just not as dramatic because it is in this.
It's a
one,
little on
in
the
this
level
episode.
of Padme lost the will to live type shit.
No, yeah, I mean I agree. It's a
And
bit
then-
much.
Well, the thing is, so in his hallucinations, it's that I think it's this one, right, where he's like in that throne room, and then
That's the
he's,
next
like,
episode we're talking about after Lake Lao guy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
The
after
Earth
like
King,
I think yeah.
which is the Earth King. We can start talking
Yeah,
about that
yeah, yeah.
one.
So with Zuko's thing, he's like in this prince robe, and then like there's 2 dragons right next to him. One's red, one's blue. One's voiced by Azula, the other one's voiced by Iroh. And again, you see that struggle combining. And I'm gonna get a bit ahead, but that's sort of set up to what happens in the next episode, in the last episode, where it finally happens in real life, where Iroh and Zula are trying to convince Zuko to choose. And so think that's pretty cool. But yeah, that's basically what it is. It wasn't really so much that he did something good for once. It was just that he was finally
allergic
struggling.
to it.
He's like allergic to it. Yeah. And then, so to the beginning of the episode, the gang's all together, and Sokka's like, let's storm the castle. Let's get the Earth King to get on our side, and let's fight the Fire Nation.
And then this is where what Peter had talked about earlier in the episode kind of comes a little bit into question. That is, wow, they really just wiped the floor with the Earth Kingdom's like main defenses and just storm the throne room.
The most elite soldiers the Earth Kingdom has ever known. Wah, wah. You just boop, thrown out of the way.
Yeah.
And it's nothing. It's nothing for them.
And it's like, you couldn't have done that a couple of episodes ago?
Yeah.
They didn't have Appa, though.
I know, but it's like, it's...
Well, I think at this moment, though, it's because, you know, they were trying to do it peacefully as much as they can. And then when they realized, at least for Aang, that they've kidnapped Appa this whole time.
And by the way, this wasn't even like an ambush or like a surprise. Like the Earth, like the palace knew that they were coming, and they were armed and they were ready, and they didn't stand a chance.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, but like I was saying, the reason why now is because at this point Aang is like done with their bullshit. Because like you see it like right as the fight's about to start, a boulder gets like thrown at them, and Aang just like breaks it and blocks it. But like his face the whole time is just kind of like determined to getting into the palace. So I think that's why they haven't done it yet. Because at that point, he was really like done with the whole.
And then we also like, I mean, it's a little bit much that they are up against all these people who are more experienced, but we also have to remember, like, he is the Avatar and he does have that advantage. Even if he isn't in the Avatar state, he still does it. Like how we saw in that episode where they go into that fortune town and Sokka's like, man, like, I forget how powerful this kid is sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like, we also have to consider that.
Yeah, let me just be clear. I'm not complaining about the power issues. I just think it's funny.
Yeah.
That's just what I'm saying.
Yeah, we get it. Honestly, this is actually my favorite fight scene.
It's great.
Like, the entire show.
They do a lot of fun, creative shit. Like when they turn the stairs flat and then they all go sliding down as they're going up.
Toph's the one that gets like super creative and stuff. Yeah. So like when they're throwing like rocks towards them, she's going like left and right, like just moving rocks kind of like in waves, basically blocking every single rock that they throw at them. And then when they throw giant statues at them, I think this is part of the other reason why they were able to beat the army is because their teamwork is like nothing else. With the soldiers, it's just like basic protocol, like do this, second wave does this, and it's just basically a pattern with them to like, this is basically what you have to do if they're being attacked. With Team Avatar, though, they always have to get creative every single time with every single person that they fight. So like, and when they were in the Serpent's Pass, instead of just like, I don't know, beating the shit out of the serpent, Aang and Katara, they just create a whirlpool around it. So again, it's just constant creativity with them. And so like I said, with Toph, she was able to like just block the rocks with like moving left and right, moving the floor panels, I guess, around. And when they throw big statues at them, that's when Aang and Toph just create, instead of like breaking them, I guess, they just create a barrier towards on themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that too, like, they're not actually trying to attack, they're just blocking.
That's true.
No, look, this is another example of how above and beyond the team behind this show really goes, like how much effort is put into. Again, this is airing on Nickelodeon. And it is surrounded by a lot of programming that doesn't come anywhere close to this, not even in the level of action. And of course, they make it look like it feels in many aspects that this show gets pretty big budget, but I can't imagine they ever did for an animated show. But they make it look as if, of course, I think as the seasons went on, there was probably a surplus of certain like episodes getting a bigger budget, as we see with the effects. But yeah, it was. To me, it's also an example of how animation not just as like a cost saving, measure, but it also is an example of how action sequences like this blow away a lot of live action sequences of this kind. I mean, there's just no competition.
That was until the movie came along.
Oh my god!
I don't remember the movie at all. I don't remember any sequence in that movie. I just remember it being, oh well, that was an afternoon of my life I'm never gonna get back. So
there's literally only one scene that I thought the fighting was pretty cool, but like it literally it's like, I don't know, 30 seconds.
Only
of
I could picture it in my mind, and I can't.
Hey,
it's okay,
to the table.
Oh god, it's another. It would be another Rise of Skywalker where we're all just.
We're just bad. What's funny is at that time you guys probably watched it because you liked the cartoon, and I eventually watched it because I liked M. Night Shyamalan. So,
when did you discover this show then?
Definitely after the movie came out.
Oh fuck. Because I imagine that some people who, let's say, and they exist, I'm sure, like Kyle, right? They watch the movie first, and then that probably deterred them for the longest time from watching the show.
Yeah, I will say it makes me feel bad for like a lot of young YA novels, because you see the films and they're just trash, and I'm like. But that's the same thing that happened with Avatar. Maybe those books are good. I don't know. Because I saw just how far something could fall while telling the exact same story. Like the greatest thing ever to the shittiest thing ever. That shit is possible. Like, hey, maybe those Percy Jackson books are good. I don't fucking know. I don't know.
I mean, it goes to show you that how bad it is. I really think that may be in contention for the worst film of so far this century.
Have you seen The Last Jedi?
That's true.
There you go. I rest my case.
You always have to mention The Last Jedi, don't you?
We're actually doing pretty good, man. No, wait, I just remembered The Dead Don't Die.
Oh, you said you hated that movie. I still haven't seen it.
No, no, it's his nemesis at this point. Is how much he hates it.
Oh my god, it's the worst thing ever. I actually been reading those Percy Jackson books. I'm still in the first one, but it's pretty good so far. Whatever.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Isn't that going to be like a Disney Plus series pretty soon?
Yeah.
Oh my god, have you guys seen? I don't know if it's I think it's the author of the books. He's been throwing some shade at the movie.
Yeah.
It's funny.
And he even admitted he never saw the movie.
Yeah.
It's a bit harsh. Don't even see the movie and you're talking trash.
What's it called? Anyways,
wait a minute, Peter, have you seen Bohemian Rhapsody yet?
Anyways, go ahead.
Okay. Just okay. All right.
So they finally storm the castle, and this is a really funny part in the show where they're like, what is it? Earth King person. You gotta help us. We're the good guys. Longfang's the bad guy, and the whole time he's just kind of like, you stormed in here. He's my trusted advisor. Like, what do you expect me to do here?
Yeah, maybe apprehend Longfang. Like, don't just stop there. Make sure you capture Longfang and then negotiate with the Earth King. Like, don't appeal to like his better. I mean, it ended up paying off in the end, but like, I mean, don't fucking surrender after you've captured them.
Yeah.
No, yeah, but then I like the sequence of just them trying to convince the Earth King that there's a freaking war out there, and that Longfang is.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's funny that you see just how actually useless the king is. And he literally has no clue what is going on.
Yeah.
That's
And like it's crazy because
that's
it's
historically accurate.
Like the but like it's still. I mean, it's just crazy to kind of actually see it. Because like this war's been going on for 100 years. Like,
Get your shit together.
I mean, and it still happens in today's day and age. I mean, we all know that Vice President Dick Cheney was known as President Cheney under George W. Bush. He had a controlling interest in the White House, and there are reports to indicate that even in our world today, Jared Kushner really is in charge of the Trump White House, and Trump's just there on Twitter.
On Twitter.
So, going to a rally and no one showing up. So, yeah.
But yeah, they end up convincing the king, which is, I mean, this is pure, like, you know, ultimate kid show. They convince him by showing how where Appa bit Longfang.
Well, that was one of them. The thing that like got him the most was the drill being outside the freaking wall.
Oh yeah.
But I like Longfang trying to convince the Earth King. It's like, oh, this was just a little test run that we were doing, you know, just trying to prepare ourselves for something real.
Bigger.
And it's like, then why is the Fire Nation symbol there? And it's like, well, we got it from them. Like they were.
We
us,
purchased
you know?
the components from the Fire Nation.
Yeah. But yeah, they end up putting Longfang in jail. But obviously, you know, the Dai Li, like the king. I mean, yeah, the king has absolutely no control in the kingdom, and the Dai Li are just loyal to Longfang. And you see that when he is sent to prison. And
Well, this is the confusing part because, and this comes into play, I think, in the finale, but there is a cabinet of sorts of military generals that are gathered there. And then the Dai Li say this to Longfang, the Dai Li remain loyal to you, but the cabinet of generals are loyal to the Earth King and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that just, you know, it brings up a couple of questions. So, why is there a cabinet of military generals if there's no war in Ba Sing Se? And how do they have contact with the Earth King if Longfang supposedly was able to,
Well,
you know...
he was... Cause
Well...
Sorry. Because
They better not be yelling at Mateo.
Point of contact. No.
No, so the cabinet, they were only mostly outside the wall because there was a freaking war going on out there.
Right.
So they were trying to be prepared. And any messages they were trying to send to the king, Longfang just got it and hid it from the king.
Right.
You know, or gave him just something, made up something for the king. So that's why he had no idea what was happening. Yeah, that was basically it, really.
The thing about this episode that I remember when I first saw this, and it was kind of like something was throwing me off. Like, all right, so half the episode is convincing the Earth King, and then everything seems like, oh, okay, it's all going really smoothly now. And then when they get the idea of splitting up, that's when I was like, something bad's about to happen, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, so within the episode, a lot of them get, like David had said, any messages that would go within the Earth Kingdom, Longfang would intercept them. That included them finding out, Sokka and Katara finding out where their dad is, Toph getting a letter from her mom, and then and getting a letter from the guru that is trying to help him master the Avatar state, which is how they all separate. They decide that, like, you know, there's a plan set to defeat the Fire Nation with the solar eclipse, but we all kind of have to separate now because we all have to
prepare ourselves, basically.
Yeah.
I like the reasoning. I like the part where they find out where Katara and Sokka's dad is at, and Katara letting Sokka leave while she stays.
Oh,
and like her plan. It's so cool because Sokka's just super excited and everything. But yeah, so the last episode starts off with them separating. And who do we go for first?
Wait a minute.
The next episode was the Guru. The next
we have more to go. We're not at the finale just yet because there's still more stuff that happens.
Yeah.
Including the opening of Iroh's tea shop, which is the most important thing right now, right?
Oh yeah,
It's on the rise.
Oh my god,
That's where the real story is.
Oh my god. Yes. What did he call it? The Jasmine Dragon?
Yeah, the Jasmine Dragon.
Yeah, which apparently he named it that because Zuko's favorite tea is jasmine.
Oh god, I love this man.
Yeah, no, but yeah, so finally Zuko's all zen and everything, and they open up the tea shop, and Zuko's like, okay, let's go make some teas. And then Iroh's like, yes, let's go.
Yeah. And then
Iroh had his dream for about 2 seconds.
No.
That's what really pissed me off the most at the end of season 2. There was a lot of things involving Iroh that left me really, really like rage. Like you want to rage quit the series because of something just happened, because that was kind of the dream, right? And then literally it all fucking falls apart like spectacularly. Because like that was the dream and everything. And then like in the same episode as like, you know, Katara went to go deliver the stuff to the military generals, and then she stumbles across and I'll say this, I think Alexis is unfairly harsh on Katara a lot of the times. Like I don't understand the shade that she throws Katara by not even mentioning her a lot of the times. Except in this instance, I remember feeling so upset with her. And I understand getting ready for the attacks getting my way that, well, of course she would like feel a little like scared at, you know, when she discovered the presence of Zuko and Iroh, and like they're literally working in a tea shop, and then she was like, oh my god, let's go tell the Earth King and everything. And like, girl, what are you scared of? They're in a tea shop. And the last time you saw them, you were fighting side by side with them against Azula. Clearly, Iroh and Zuko are no longer a threat. And when was the last time they were even chasing you? I mean, it was beyond obvious, in case you hadn't noticed the posters literally in all of the villages you went by, that they were wanted by the Fire Nation. Clearly. But no, she that's the most Karen I think she gets, and then she goes to the Earth King.
Oh no, she gets more.
She goes to the Earth King.
All her haters.
Like I
know.
I like Katara, like I do, but damn.
She goes to the Earth King, and then of course Azula is already there, you know, dressed as the Kyoshi warriors and everything. And of course they alert fucking Azula. And like, oh my god, it's not enough that, you know, yeah, she gets captured, but you have to also like, couldn't we have just like left Zuko and Iroh alone? No, I mean, but no, of course not. And of course that's what happens, and we extend, the Earth King, quote unquote, extends an invitation to Iroh to come serve tea to the Earth King, which like, that should have been a clue. Like, who the fuck? Okay, like the Earth King would be interested in tea, in the middle of all of this.
But you got to see, why he's known as the Dragon of the West.
Yes.
But before that, we have anything the Guru, right?
Yeah. So we have the Guru episode, which is where Aang learns how to, or is learning how to master the Avatar state. This episode, I think, is really good. And again, this is the episode that my friend was like, I can't believe they're showing this in a kid's show.
Yeah.
Everything that he talks about, I don't know. It's just like, it's so cool, and it's such like, it's like this, everything that he talks about is like such like a different lifestyle. Like it is a lifestyle, and it's a different way of thinking of things. And it's really cool that we get to see this and kids learn from this and have, the option to see things this way as well.
Have their minds
And
expanded
not just...
by
Yes.
different cultures.
Yes.
Yes.
But I mean, besides that, just like everything that Aang has to go through and he has to accept, that he ran away from his responsibilities. He has to accept what happened to like his people, let them go. Just like a lot of things.
Basically,
that-
let go of everything that's like been holding him back from the beginning,
Yeah.
which was
all the guilt,
fear of the Avatar, fear of the Fire Lord, the Fire Nation, regret of his people, but ultimately he like messes up the training because he can't let go
of
of
Katara.
Katara.
Being a total simp.
Yeah.
But no, I really like this episode. I think it's really, really good. And then the animation for when he's trying to open up the last chakra, like what?
Mm.
Wild.
Wild.
But yeah, and then this is also the episode where we see Azula, May, and Ty Lee, and they're pretending to be Kyoshi warriors, which they get away with because nobody actually sees them. They just show up, and Aang and the group are told that Kyoshi warriors are there, so they just assume that it's Suki and the other Kyoshi warriors. So they're like, oh yeah, fully trust them, they're on our side. But joke's on them. Which also a big thing happens in this one. Azula, well, because the Earth King just is a total... What was the word? Himbo?
He's not a himbo. He's a dunderhead.
He...
By the way, Bosco's the
he
real
ends
MVP of this episode.
Oh yeah, Bosco.
He couldn't leave without Bosco. They take the fucking bear with them on Appa.
The Earth King ends up telling Azula about the what is it?
The invasion.
The invasion. Yeah, which Azula she's surprised. So that was kind of cool. to
That's
see.
just like, I mean, I know that the Earth King is what's the nice way of saying it? Inept. But I mean, really, like, the first thing he says, like, "Hi, guests, welcome to the Earth Kingdom. Here, let me tell you our secret plan to overthrow the Fire Nation," in our first sentence. As if, like, shouldn't that be something, I don't know, top secret?
Yeah, he really let that shit rip real quick.
Yeah. Which, like, I mean, I get it. Like, he obviously fully trusted them. Like, they told him to. But it was still very, like, not the time, bro. But yeah, so that happens. And then they fight Katara, who's the only one that... Oh, wait, and then we forgot Toph. The letter that she got from her mom wasn't actually from her mom. It was from the people that her parents hired to capture and bring back to them. Which is a big part because she is captured by them. And they put her in a metal, cell, which... earthbenders are they don't
metal
know how to
bending is
metal
not a
bend.
thing.
Yeah, but here comes Toph, the first ever metal bender. She figures it out and she escapes.
Which again, it's cool editing, like how they did with Long Fang and Jet. They did the same thing with this one, where when Aang is talking to the Guru, he's talking about how everything in this world is connected to each other, and then he brings up metal and earth, how people think it's different, but really it's just refined earth that can just connect back to its roots, basically. And then when you see Toph
figuring it out.
like hitting the metal, and like you see like the vibrations of it going back and forth, and then you see little pieces of earth inside the metal, and she just gives like a little smile, like, "Oh, I've got this now." And a bit of spoilers for the comic, but they kind of explain what she was going through during that time in the cage, and I really like the way she explained it. In that, metal is just like, it's basically earth but pressurized. And when I was in that cage, I felt pressure that I'm gonna go back home, and my parents aren't gonna let me leave. I'm gonna be back to being controlled.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of like why she was able to like sense the earth within the metal, because it's pressure.
How she felt.
It's all pressure. It's how she felt confined. And yeah, I think it was just a cool little detail in the comics that added a lot to that scene.
But yeah, metal bending.
She created metal bending,
which is me and David were talking about this earlier. I don't remember why we were talking. Well, because a lot of people have pointed out, like, which we didn't realize this. We kind of realized it with Zuko, where like, kind of spoilers, but towards the end of the show, Zuko he doesn't learn how to bend the other elements, but he learns how to incorporate other elements into his firebending, which is what Iroh has always been trying to teach him. The same with Aang, where he does actually learn how to use all of the elements. And then Sokka, even though he doesn't bend, he learns all of the different fighting styles from each kingdom, or from each
nation.
And the only ones that don't are Toph and Katara, but they learn new ways of exploring their own bending style. So
interesting.
Yeah.
What else happens in this episode? That's kind of all I had for this one. Just the ending. Katara finds out that Azula and them are pretending to be the Kyoshi warriors, and then also Azula takes over the Dai Li. The Dai Li end up betraying Long Feng and go on to her side.
She punked him out real quick.
Yeah.
There's even the line, it's like, you beat Long Feng is like, "Oh, you beat me at my own game," which is basically manipulation and control. And she's like, "You were never even the player."
Yeah, she's like, you were never shit.
That whole speech, like, of her just kind of laying out who he is as a person just by looking at him. I love it. She's so scary. And then in learning the Avatar state, or how to master the Avatar state, Aang kind of sees that Katara is in trouble, and his last kind of task is to let go of Katara, but he can't do it because he sees that she's in trouble, and he ends up leaving halfways, and the Gru guy's like, "Hey, if you leave now, you're never gonna be able to get into the Avatar state," but he ends up leaving anyways.
What a dummy.
Skipped over. So we skipped over Sokka's thing. Or like, we have been avoiding it. So Sokka, I really liked his thing going on, where he finally gets to see his dad after a very long time. And I liked how everyone kind of just already made him a part of a team, basically. The Water Tribe Army. And when they were and I like that bit at the end of his thing where they're all about to set sail because they gotta get ready for battle and all that. And his dad goes, "All right, all men, get ready, blah blah blah." And Sokka's like, "What do I do?" It's like, "Didn't you hear me? All men, get ready." And
he's so proud.
Yes, it's so great.
I love it. No, yeah, that's a good
one. And then the dad dies.
But then Aang ruins it. No, but Aang ruins it though by coming back and being like,
We gotta go.
We gotta go.
And he's like,
Aang
"Ah,
dad
shit."
blocked.
Yeah. But yeah, and then we have the last episode, which apparently Alexis has a lot of problems with because of Katara.
What does he know?
Actually, in this case, no. I mean, I was in the case of what she did. Yeah, but that's it. My main problem is actually with Zuko.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
That's where I'm gonna
did
kill him.
what
So.
he had to do.
Be a little bee. So they all come together. They run into Toph running towards Bossing Say.
She's like, I don't know what the heck she's doing. It's just basically like
making waves.
skating through
Oh,
the
yeah.
earth, basically. Yeah.
And they go back, and he tells them that Katara's in trouble. Zuko and Iroh finally get to the palace. Obviously they're met up with Azula because she's the one that invited him, not the Earth King.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to see the Dragon of the West in this one.
That was cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
Was that really the first time we see like
Yeah.
fire breathing?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay then.
I love this moment because even Zuko's like, you're about to get your shit wrecked. But I love it because they're both like in a fighting stance, but Iroh's like, I got this,
Yeah.
like kind of to Zuko, and Zuko just like turns back and is like, yep, bye.
Well, what I like is how he's like, have you ever heard why I was called the Dragon of the West? And then Azula's like, I don't got time for none of your dumbass stories, old man. And he's like, it wasn't no story. And then, fucking fire breathing. All badass.
He says it's more of a demonstration than a story.
I love it. And then what happens? Zuko ends up getting captured, and then Iroh, they go back to Aang and them go back to like the place that they were staying at, and they can't find Katara and stuff, and they hear a knock, and Toph is like, "Wait, I know this person."
Oh, my old friend.
They haven't seen him yet.
Yeah. And it's Iroh. And they're all like freaking out, and Toph's like, "No, he's chill."
He gave me tea.
Yeah.
He gave me tea. He's cool.
And so he tells them like what's going on, that Azula's there and they've been captured, and he needs their help, and so they come up with a plan on like where to find them and stuff. And
Oh no, they came up with the plan because Iroh fucking kidnapped a Dai Li agent.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, so where do we start? It's like, I think this guy can help us. It's like, I can't remember how they scared him though, but they got the information out of him. They actually, like, I can't remember if it was like Toph or Iroh, but like one of them scared him, the Dai Li agent, and that's how they got info that there was an underground tunnels, I guess, beneath the
city,
palace.
an underground city, kind of.
It was the
Something underground.
catacombs. The catacombs.
The catacombs,
Yeah, yeah.
yes. Yeah, underneath the palace, I think.
Some crystal shit.
And
Apparently there was like a city under Ba Sing Se.
So yeah, and then what happens is Sokka and Toph go to the palace to try to catch Azula, and then Iroh and Aang go and try to save Katara and Zuko. And then I like this moment because we get to see the first Aang and Iroh moment.
The first and only.
Kind of- the
Like,
first and only, yeah.
I know.
Oh.
There should have been so much more.
Yeah.
No, yeah, but he tried to get some advice from Iroh, being like, I was about to learn the Avatar state, but I kind of do it all the way for Katara, and he's just kind of like,
I mean, he
"That's
doesn't
good."
directly say that, but
But but he's trying to tell him that. But it leads to Iroh saying like, I think you chose wise to I think it was
Choose
wise.
the people you love.
Yeah, it was wise for you to choose the person you love over power.
That stupid old man was wrong. He needs the avatar.
Power and perfection are overrated.
He
I think you're
needs the
wise to
avatar
choose
state.
happiness and love.
Power makes you happy.
Yes.
It's the only real happiness.
Yeah. And then when before they find them, Zuko and Katara.
This is the birth of Zutara
Zutara.
because of this moment.
Birth and death,
yeah.
you mean, right? At least it should be.
Well, it's canon, isn't it?
No.
Yeah. They reveal in what is it? Fuck. Korra. You know how they show Zuko's grandson? He's the general.
Mm-hmm. Okay, whatever. But they have a moment where, of course, Katara has to mention her mother.
Damn, you just like get over it. Oh, she died.
It's like my mother.
And of course, again, Zuko has to mention his mother
okay.
too, right?
Hold on.
I mean,
No. Wait.
That's like the first time.
Shut up. Hold on. All three of you are out here attacking me. Cause I'm telling Aang, don't get your panties in a bunch just cause you lost your flying bison. But you're out here like, oh, you were like 4 when your mom was murdered? Get over it. Okay. There's some serious Katara
No, okay.
and
I
like
have a
hatred going on here.
with the future episode, which is like why Katara bugs me a lot.
Oh my God.
Okay, but Katara still has her dad and her brother and her whole entire water tribe. Okay, Aang has nothing.
He had Momo. Again, this is
if you're
Momo
talking about the
erasure.
episode that follows this, look, I think that also is just like unnecessary Katara hatred. She was entirely justified about that. I mean, come on. I mean, are you...
Wait, what?
I don't... Well, we can't talk about it because spoilers, so...
Okay, yeah.
We'll talk about it when it gets there because I have
Oh
words.
God.
I have words. God. Okay, anyways. Again, she mentions her mother and how the Fire Nation took her away. And in this episode we see, I mean, we get glimpses in other episodes of just how much she hates the Fire Nation. But in this episode she kind of directs it all towards Zuko.
Mm-hmm.
But then, he mentions his mom and how the Fire Nation took his mom as well. And so, they have
And then
that
Aang
connection.
has some comp.
And then she tries to heal him with
She was going to his scar.
She was going to, the scar
She brings up the water thing,
from the
That's-
Northern Water Tribe.
which would have been nice to use on Jet.
Yeah. Who gives a fuck about Jet, I guess? I told you.
Hold on.
This is what
Hold
the
on.
whole
she,
show-
She says that she can heal him. She says that she can
I know,
help. She's
but
a
she
healer.
doesn't.
Yeah, but they're running out of time. I mean, I'm just
Nah,
joking.
this whole
but
show
it's
just
it's
shits
just
on
really
Jet
funny though.
unnecessarily.
No, they literally didn't have time to heal him, and I don't think she can heal like
The dead?
no. Well,
He wasn't dead.
No, but I don't think she can really heal like internal
Things?
damages.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't really. They don't really explain how it works. It just says it's healing water.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then come in Aang and Iroh, and they're like about to leave, but Azula walks in, and it's like, no.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and then
Which goes back to his hallucination, the red dragon and the blue dragon, convincing him to choose sides, which is basically what happens here. I think Iroh says it's time for you to choose good.
well, actually, even before that, I don't. They knock him out, don't they?
Who?
Iroh, because he's not in the initial first fight. He comes in later and is like, "Go, I'll hold them off."
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, they knock him out because obviously he's like, you can't do anything with him there. But yeah, like Zuko betrays him, which fucking sucks.
Yeah.
This is the only time he's a little bitch, but it's fine. And then freaking Katara, Aang, Zuko, and Azula start getting in like a big old fight, and you get to see all of these things that all of them can do, which is really cool.
Well, wait, who would you say?
What?
Like, who was in the fight?
Azula, Zuko, Aang, and Katara.
Oh, I thought you mentioned Sokka and Toph. I'm like, they weren't in that fight.
No, they're not in that
My
fight.
bad.
And then they're getting beaten down, Aang and Katara, and then Aang he finally realizes, like, okay, I need to get into the Avatar state. And so he makes like a little tent for him to finish what he was doing with the Guru, and he let go of Katara.
Also, like, I think that was a cool little detail that they were able to bend the crystals in the tunnel. I just thought it was cool. But go on.
Yeah. And he finally gets into the Avatar state. But again, here comes Azula sneaking her way. And he shoots him, which I think we've mentioned before, that if you get shot down when you're in the
If you
Avatar
die.
state,
If you get killed in the Abbot.
You die in real life.
kind of.
It's Inception rules.
And then the Avatar state, and then the Avatar cycle ends, and so everybody's like freaking out because he gets shot down,
Yeah.
and he's like not waking up, and then Iroh comes in,
It just beats the shit out of everyone.
and he does, but then he sees them leave, and then he just stops it, lets himself get captured, and they escape
Into the
That's
night.
it. That's
Katara was actually really badass in this because she I think she had like a bunch of like tentacle water around her, and then when Aang is falling, she literally just creates like a giant wave to knock down all the Dai Li agents. And then I like the way she like gets away by, I don't know, just like a giant tentacle water thing and shoots up to the waterfall. She was badass in that moment. While that was happening, actually, Sokka and Toph were fighting Mei and Tai Li for... No, they were captured by them. And then when they escaped, they stopped Tai Li. Is that her name? I forgot her name.
Which one?
The one that can block
Yeah, Ty
Lee. And then Mei is just like, just take the bear and go. She does not want to fight.
It's very telling that I can't remember anyone's name, but I remember Bosco and Momo. Yeah, I don't know. Those are the two names.
No, last episode we were having trouble remembering Zuko, Azula, Ozai, Azulon. We were like,
which was which?
As soon as we say the Z, we're just like,
Well,
Zuko.
Katara, oh my god, this whole first, I don't want to say her name, but I was gonna say some wild shit, like, I don't know, Katarin, like, it was mixed up in my head. That's why Katara. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so that's how they escaped.
Yeah.
And then it ends with them flying off with Appa, and then that's when
Aang is still kind of knocked down.
that's when Katara uses the water thingy to heal him, and a light flashes in his body, and he's alive.
But he's still not. He's unconscious still.
Very much unconscious. And then Azula took over the Earth Kingdom. And I think you see like the Fire Nation flag.
Sensei's finally taken over.
Which is like, oh my god. Yeah. Your guys' thoughts?
It was a downer of an ending.
They went
on just every single instance.
Really, Empire Strikes Back with it.
I was gonna say
there's
that,
no
yeah.
big giant battle, you know, because the first season ended with the what is it, the the northern water tribe getting invaded, and it's a whole thing. But with this one, it's just a small personal fight in which our hero is left damaged, and shit's just thrown into disarray, and then that's the ending.
Yeah. And then actually, I think people had to wait like 2 years for the next season to start.
You're kidding me. It was 2 years?
Yeah.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Wow, I don't remember that.
Yeah. They didn't do it right away. Because they like really wanted to like take their time with it, because I mean last season and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, they took a while. And then that's when we got that Comic-Con panel where they showed like the trailer for the 3rd season and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah. It's great. Good ending.
You sound
But,
pissed off.
Well, I am.
Good ending.
Zuko.
Okay. Like,
You know, like this kind of made me almost entirely just give up on Zuko. Like,
did you watch this shit live? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're probably pissed.
Oh yeah,
It's like
I
same
know.
reaction.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it really does suck that Zuko betrayed Iroh, and he even says that in the show that he betrayed him. But I mean, it's kind of understandable too. But I think
No.
because I think he get because the thing is he kind of gave up on the whole bringing back his honor thing, and he just wants to go back home with his dad, and like that's
I think the biggest tragedy was that Ba Sing Se lost its best tea shop.
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah.
I don't know. I like this season more than the first one.
Oh, for sure, it's better.
Yeah,
For me,
yeah.
at least.
Across the board, I'd say yeah. Overall, it does deepen a lot of the characters, and I think just every single one of them introduces new ones. Yeah, it's very. It takes a very Star Wars approach. When Peter say like that, this is the Empire Strikes Back. It pretty much is.
Yeah.
But better.
Better.
For me.
Yeah. So.
Is that it?
That's all the
I
episodes, yeah.
think so.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Peter, any closing thoughts on season 2?
Did you guys like this one better than the first season?
Both of us literally just said that.
Both?
Did you?
No. No.
No?
You
Not
like the first
enough
season better?
Appa.
Oh my god.
And with that, we're gonna go ahead and close off the episode. Thank you, Peter, for always, closing off with something entirely vapid and meaningless. Thank you, Alexis and David, for your wonderful contributions to the conversation. I am I'm kind of done talking. Thank you all for listening to our weekly Avatar recap, and we'll be back next time with the first part of Book 3, FAIRE. Catch us under the spotlight with more podcasts, Spotify, Apple. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.